Hello, everyone. Welcome into Player Section with Tavarres King, Knowshon Moreno. Tavarres will be in here with us in just a minute, but the man that we're going to be talking about here in the beginning is none other than Knowshon. Knowshon, cheers to you, my man. How you doing?
Cheers. What's going on, fellas?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell your friends, get in here. Let's get it going.
Right.
Chris Taylor saying, let's go Blues. He's watching some hockey over there tonight. You ever dabble in any hockey out there in Colorado? No.
Yeah, it's a lot of hockey. You know, those Avs, you know how they get down. So
my man is on the screen and we're live, man. We're live. You hopping in here just like
yeah, you know how we do sometimes, but we here.
We hear Tim Collins said he was hoping Knowshon was still at the beach.
Nah, you don't want him there, Tim. You don't want him there, Tim.
Boy was at the beach. Really at the beach. In the sand, toes.
Toes out there. Toes out
there.
Yeah,
the 10 toes that we don't have. The production doesn't have that set up yet, but we're going to get it set up. We're going to get it rolling and get it going. But guys, just how's everything going for you this week, man? I mean, we had a crazy week. We're going to get into all the Brock Bowers stuff later, so don't touch on that yet. We'll get to that in a little bit. But what you guys, how was the weekend? How's the start to this week been for you?
Weekend was dope. Mine wasn't, as awesome as Knowshon's.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was dope, man. Just kicked it with the fam. That's always good. So nice little relaxing weekend. Nothing crazy. Done with volleyball right now. So yeah. Yeah,
absolutely.
Love it.
Absolutely. So Knowshon, I was kind of, you're not going to, as Arn Anderson used to say, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but toot. I was going to give you a chance to go over there and talk about it. You were named a SEC legend for the 2023 class, SEC Legends team. One, congratulations, man. That is well-deserved. And two, what it just talk to us about the experience, what you thought when you got that call and how everything went down.
Yeah, man, just definitely a humbling experience. Definitely honored to be a part of such, great groups year in and year out, right? Feel great. It's an honor. I was pretty surprised when they first told me that this was probably a month ago, and I was just like, all right, that's pretty dope. But then they came out with the announcement, and I was like, dang, this is awesome, actually. You know what I mean? But it just kind of goes to the team that we had. I don't know. First of all, I don't know how they picked this. All right, can I ask that? But and you might know. How do they even?
All these awards, Hall of Fame and everything else, it's all done by these sports writers. A bunch of old men with pens and notepads have been watching you play ball for a while now, and they remembered those hurdles. They remember those the leaps over the pylon at Arizona State, all that good stuff. Okay. And they probably, I'm thinking the Soldier Boy dance had something to do with it. You probably got a couple of late votes by some of the younger crowds in there, and because of that. So.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of great players out there, Knowshon, that you're sitting right next to one here on the screen with Tavarres that haven't yet been named to this team, and it just shows the select crowd that you're in. I mean, when you look at the other players on the list, when you look at people, that have been named to this already, just what does it mean to you in terms of how you tried to go about the game while you were at Georgia?
Yeah, I saw the list. I saw a couple guys. I didn't know too many of the guys on there. I did see Wesley Woodyard on there. I'm like, yo, my boy Wes made that thing. So that's awesome. I played against Wes and had some really good competition. Played with Wes as well here at Denver, right? Mm-hmm. So that'd be great to rekindle some of those memories and kind of just, kick it and get back to I haven't seen him in a minute. I know he's out in Florida, but I haven't seen him. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, man, it's just a pleasure. It's an honor. I just went out there and just tried to play ball bear, as best as we can. We had some really good teams, the ones I was on, and we were just all out there just trying to go ball. So at the end of the day, just very humbled and honored to be, part of that select crew. I think the biggest surprise was my boy Paul Feinbaum hit the boy up. Paul Feinbaum. I was like,
what was it like going on Feinbaum, man?
Bro, it was wild because I've always thought about calling in. You know how you be having those callers, and I'm like, yo, I'll call in one of these days and just be on there and not tell them who it is. But yeah, I thought it was a joke at first when I got the text. It was from the producer, and he's like, hey. Then he started giving me the times I can come on, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is real talk. So it was awesome experience. Feinbaum is a legend. I love his show. So it was just awesome to watch a show that you watch all the time and then be on it. I'm like, man, this is crazy. So that was an honor as well. And then, hopefully I can get on that thing at another time. I told him, I was like, hey, I'm going to be calling now. I'm going to call in. So y'all better.
Yeah, let him know.
Oh, so it was great.
Before I get TK's take on it, I do want to mention welcome in to everybody. We got Andy Stowe, Diane, Chris, Matthew Henson, who's a big Missouri Tigers fan, Knowshon. So you're going to hit it off with my man Matthew here. He's a big Missouri fan. Of course, we got Tim Collins in here. Unk is in here. The dog father, JT, is in here with us. So we've got a bunch of people in here. But I did want to list off, TK, listen to some of the people on this list with Knowshon in this 2023 class. You have Andre Smith, the tackle from Alabama, great player. Of course, Shane Matthews, who balled out at quarterback for Florida over there. He mentioned Wesley Woodyard. You've got Chase Kaufman was a really good tight end at Missouri, and then Patrick Willis from Ole Miss, and also Marcus Lattimore from South Carolina. Some great players here, TK, going in with Knowshon.
Yeah, 100%. Great players, great dudes. I had the opportunity to actually train with Marcus Lattimore down at Exos or API at the time. His senior year when he came out, he had that kind of catastrophic injury. So he went down and saw Dr. Andrew. So I got to actually spend some time with him, a lot of time with him. Hell of a person. So hell of an honor. And then, our guy here, man, just, congrats, super congrats, and much deserved. You was always a teammate that, one, gave your all, but two, you were fun to be around, obviously off the field, but on the field, you brought the juice every single day. Whether we was out the night before or not. So yeah, man, you brought the juice
even when he was juiced. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I mean, you were a special cat, and you are a special cat, just like Marcus Lattimore, a special human. So again, much deserved to you, brother. Proud of you.
Appreciate it. You're gonna be in that thing too, man.
Yeah,
people don't realize TK his senior year. He came real close to breaking that 1,000-yard threshold right there. Only the second one would have been only the second one to do it in Georgia history. So two great legends that I get to co-host here with, and I'm thankful to do it. But guys, we've got a lot of ground to cover. We're going to start off with SEC defenses, guys, and this has been a year where we've talked a lot about these offenses. Okay, Georgia's offense has been, up there scoring in the 40-something points per game, region of things. Of course, LSU, what they're doing out there. We see Missouri and Luther Burden, all that kind of stuff. Florida won a barn burner with South Carolina here this past week. Alabama's got Jalen Milroe. All these offenses, okay, all across the SEC that are tearing it up. But you guys know, as you've played it not only in college but in the NFL, as that calendar turns from October to November and that weather gets a little bit colder, that defense picks up a little bit, and you got to have defense to win championships. So my question to you guys, as you look at these teams that are still in contention for the SEC championship, what teams do you think have championship caliber defenses that can help their team get to the SEC championship and possibly win it?
I mean, right off the back, you gotta look at us. You got to look at us first, and I think
pronouns, pal, because not a lot of people know you guys.
Us, y'all see them damn G's, all them damn G's and dogs, and Bob Marley.
Georgia, he's a Georgia man.
Y'all see this, Georgia, the dogs. I think you got to start there. That team's playing really well, I think they're starting to flow, get some continuity going up front. I would really like to see us, produce a few more sacks, but I think the flow is there. I love the back end of our defense. I think it's really, really well. Even Everett on that short size is playing well and stepping up. So I think you have to start there for sure. And then y'all agree with that, or?
Yeah, no, I think Georgia's good, and we'll get back to that in a minute about them, just how good they've been. But Knowshon, in terms of some other teams, are there any other ones? I mean, I listed out all the people who are still technically in contention for the SEC right now. What what of those teams maybe stick out to you in terms of a team that can just get it done defensively?
Yeah, you got to say Georgia, of course, number one. Even though they had a slow start, and sometimes it may not look like their high caliber defense because teams are putting points on them, not as much as other teams or not as much as last year, but they're putting some points on them. So definitely Georgia number one, like you said, TK. But you can't sleep on Alabama still. I feel like Alabama is still in there in the contention. They're coming around. They're starting to play better ball. They had a close one with Arkansas, but at the same time, man, I feel like they're coming around. We got Dallas Turner is leading the SEC in sacks. They're like second. I think they're second in one category. I think it might be sacks, actually.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they're right there with picks as well. So, I mean, they're coming around. You can never sleep on Alabama. So I think Alabama's up there. And another one I feel like is kind of getting – well, when you say
maybe who they're playing this weekend, maybe who Alabama's playing this weekend. Tennessee's playing some defense.
Yeah, they're playing real well up front. Like,
Yeah,
really good.
But that's all they've been doing is playing defense because the offense has been awful. But they've been playing some defense. I mean, they held Texas A&M to 13 points and really made Max Johnson look uncomfortable all day long in that game last week. That's really the only reason they won, in my opinion. That and special teams.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what we expected. We kind of expected them to make Max move out the pocket and then force him to win the game. But yeah, that defense is playing good.
I might take Ole Miss's defense over theirs. I'm just saying.
Really?
I'm just being serious. Yeah, I mean, I like the way they kind of get to the quarterback as well. And if we were to look at their overall, where they are in the SEC, ranker wise, I feel like they would be below. Tennessee would be below Ole Miss in the categories. I saw you that. You remember you had that that graphic of Georgia, right? If we did the same thing for Ole Miss and Tennessee, I feel like Ole Miss will be above Tennessee. So I'm gonna take Ole Miss over them, even though, like you said, they are playing well. Tennessee.
Yeah. Well, I want to go back to Georgia real quick on defense, TK, because I was telling Knowshon before we went on air here, when it comes down to it, I think Georgia's a little bit of a victim of their own success based off of the historic defenses they've had the last couple of years. They've had, 26 guys overall go to the NFL draft, which is a record in the last 2 years. Not all of those defensive guys, but a lot of them were, I think, 8 first-rounders or 7 first-rounders off that defense. All 11 guys that started in the 2021 national championship team got drafted off defense. That just doesn't happen, okay?
Right.
And here is, with all that talent gone, here's where Georgia ranks in the SEC after 7 weeks of the season. Scoring defense, first. Rushing defense, first. Passing defense, first. Total defense, first. Interceptions, first. Third down percentage, first. And that's a ridiculous third down percentage they're holding people
watch
to.
You, Blaine. Keep on.
Here you go. Here you go.
Mean, of course, we could pick and choose which ones we want them to be number one in. Okay, I get it.
No, I'm saying all those categories, nobody else is leading in that many categories. Somebody may be leading in one category, but Georgia overall is still playing really good defense, is my point, even with all that loss.
Throw the graphic back up, please.
I mean, they ain't number one in sacks, but I get it. They get to the quarterback here and there, but they ain't number one in sacks. They ain't number one in tap. They ain't number one a lot of things, but you pick and choose. I see what you did here. Okay.
I think the biggest thing right there on that list that obviously sticks out, of course, other than points, to me is plays of 20+ yards. I mean, and what in the game we play today, like explosives are the thing. So I think if we're playing that good a ball, that's not 15 explosives in 7 games, 6 games, right?
Yeah. That's 7 games. 7 games. There's 7 and
yeah, 7 games. I think that's kind of impressive. That's pretty impressive. So I think that's the biggest thing that sticks out is limiting those explosive plays. So hats off to Kurt and our defense for getting that done.
So you wanted to know you wanted to know, Knowshon, the scoring defense is in order. So the scoring defense is in order. Georgia's first at 14 points a game, like I said. Alabama is second at 16 points a game. Tennessee third at 17 points a game. Okay. Mississippi's 8th at 23.8 points a game. Between Tennessee and Mississippi, or between Tennessee and Ole Miss, you have Texas A&M at 4, Florida at 5, Auburn at 6, and Kentucky at 7.
Gotcha.
So Where I'm shocked at,
Florida
guys,
at 5.
yeah, Florida at 5.
Which is
Florida's
weird.
played some at different times. They've played good defense. They played horrible against South Carolina. They played really good against Tennessee. But I think that says more about Tennessee's offense than it does anything else. Now, my question is, guys, in your team, Knowshon, they ended up being opportunistic against Kentucky, old Missouri. Now, we thought that Missouri coming into the year, we thought defense was going to be what carried them, right? Because they had 10 starters returning, all these seniors and stuff like that. But they're giving up some points and some yards, and it really is the offense that has carried them. Are you kind of surprised by that with Missouri this year?
I believe so. Because like what you said, I mean, we were talking about that defense so heavily coming into the year. But that's something that you can look at it and you be like, that's some great news, because once the defense starts playing a little bit better, they can be a team to reckon with. You know what I'm saying? I think Cook is playing well. You got Cody playing really well. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy that they're 6-1 right now. You know what I mean? And they got some big games coming up. So let's see if they can keep it up. But at the same time, I am surprised that the offense is the one that's kind of keeping them in the games.
They are Missouri is sixth in the conference in rushing yards per game. And then when it comes to passing yards per game, passing defense, Missouri's 8th in the league, allowing 227 yards per game. And that's in comparison to Georgia at number 1, 171. So I think when you look at it, we have to realize too that there's been injuries for Missouri. There's been injuries for Georgia. There's been injuries for everybody throughout the year. But Georgia specifically has been without Smile Munden for a good portion of time, without Javon Bullard for a good portion of time, without Dan Jackson. Michael Williams has been banged up at times, and Marvin Jones Jr. and Tyron Ingram-Dawkins all have been out. I think that makes even more impressive what Georgia's done this year, being first in all those categories.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, again, we talk about it all the time. We recruit really well. There's always a next man up mentality. I'm sure we'll hit on that later. But our guys, we play a bunch of guys. So I think that is super impressive. But yeah, getting back to Mizzou, bro. I'm impressed too. I can't lie. I'm super impressed with what they're doing, and you got to think that, like, as the year goes on, that defense returning what they returned, you got to think that they're going to start clicking as well. And then that complementary football that we like to talk about will begin to, take its place, and they'll probably, look better because that offense, like we said, does look explosive. They look like they're cooking under Brady Cook, and it's impressive. So that being said, with our slate of with our schedule and what's left on our plate, which one of these teams kind of gives you the most fits in your head?
I think simply because of the schedule and where the games are. If Georgia had to go to Missouri or they had to go to Ole Miss, I think you would be a whole lot more worried about it. Going to Tennessee is not easy. I don't care what Tennessee does. Going to Knoxville is not easy in terms of the environment and things like that. I think Knowshon, what do you think? Is it Tennessee?
Man, I'm leaning towards Missouri, bro. I don't give a dang if it's at home. I understand it. But just the way that they play, the way that they played them last year, they played them tough last year. So, they got that confidence. They look at this team this year and they're like, bro, we can get them. We can do this. That would turn their whole season around if they were able to get it. So I'm really and shoot, even the Florida game, bro, we talking about they always play tough in the cocktail game. You know what I mean? So it's like, even though Florida hasn't been playing to the best of their abilities each and every game, I'm talking about, you saw how they played versus Kentucky, right? It's like, but you can't sleep on them in this game, in this neutral site. You feel me? So you got to watch them, boys. We're going to get the dub on that. But then for real, that tough slate starts with the Missouri, then Ole Miss, and then Tennessee, like you said. But you got to watch Ole Miss. You have to watch it.
Yeah, Ole Miss with Jackson Dart, a running quarterback, that always he's able to pull it down. Yeah, but I think a lot of those guys, listen, the back half of the schedule is tough for Georgia. They're going to have to prove it. They're going to have to earn it. But I think having those games at home Missouri and Ole Miss is a big advantage for Georgia there. And then, of course, going to Knoxville is very, very tough. So we've talked about some of these defenses, guys. I also want to talk about, okay, the kind of the elephant in the room was when, the ankle of old Brock Bowers, he had to get the tightrope surgery. He went down. Obviously, some people are already putting Georgia 6 feet under, and we talked about that slate and all that kind of stuff, saying, all right, they're not going to be able to win without Brock Bowers and stuff like that. I wanted to get your opinion on how you think this offense, picks up the slack for one of the best players in all of college football.
Well, for starters, it's obviously tough to lose a leader like Brock Bowers. It's tough to lose an anchor of your offense, somebody that freaking accounts for, I don't know how much percent of our offense, but it's tough to lose him. But I think you're starting to see guys emerge in the passing game. I think you're starting to see out wide. I think now we're kind of getting what we wanted. You're getting a Lad McConkey back as well. He's getting healthy. Dom, they're playing really good ball. But in that tight end room, there's a guy named Lawson Lucky that we talked about.
You're answering Alex's question right here.
We talked about all spring. We talked about all summer. Had a hell of a fall camp. Now he has an opportunity. I mentioned next man up mentality earlier. That's what's at stake here. Todd Hartley, our guy, Todd Hartley, Coach Todd Hartley does a great job of getting these guys ready. As you can see from the tight end production we've had in years past and what Brock has done, he does a great job of getting these guys ready and prepared. So I'm not worried there. And then our man Bobo, I think that he is fine. Is starting to see what he has in all his players and is going to be able to utilize, these guys the same way he was utilizing Brock. You saw him scheme Dom open on that little quick slant, kind of copycatted the Kansas City Chiefs from their little touchdown score with Kadarius Toney in the Super Bowl. But I think that now it gives guys an opportunity for that next man up. And I mentioned Lawson. I didn't mention Pierce or Oscar Delp. Those are two guys that are extremely capable. So for people to kind of say that our grave is dug just because Brock is gone, I think that's kind of crazy because we've got weapons. We've got a lot of weapons out there, and I'm kind of excited to see how Bobo utilizes those guys without having to go to 19 here, and there. So it's going to be interesting for sure. Definitely a big blow, but I think we got what it takes to get it done.
Now, Sean, how do you think Georgia will, kind of piggybacking off that, how do you think Georgia will, will they change anything scheme-wise, personnel-wise, you think, or does it just kind of, plug people into a spot and still run some of those same routes, but just do it in a little bit different personnel set?
Yeah, it's going to be hard to just put anyone in the spot because, not everyone is Bowers, right? So that's going to be kind of tough. But like TK mentioned, we have some players that they can put in that position that we won't really miss a beat. We didn't really talk about Oscar Delp. I think he can go in there and do some things. But if we didn't want to use, Lawson Lucky, who is that third guy? Who is that other guy? I haven't seen much of anyone else besides Delp and Bowers. So it's going to be a lot of guys are going to have to step up, not just that tight end room. Now that means on the outside, like TK said, those people got to step up. But not only them, bro, these backs. Now we're going to have to use these backs maybe a little bit more. Bell, gets a couple more catches out the backfield or something like that. But now everyone's really going to have to step up their game and kind of fill the shoes of losing a great player. But who's that third guy?
Well, I don't think you're going to have to worry about that as much. Pierce Spurlin is the third tight end, but he's a freshman as well, like Lawson Lucky. He's 6 foot.
I say use him over Lawson then. I don't want to use him. Lawson this quick right now. Nah.
Hey man,
he's 6 foot. He's 6'7", 240 pounds. I mean, he's a big old boy as a freshman. However, these are still freshmen you're talking about. So I think what you're going to see is you're going to see a more 11 personnel
sure.
in there. I think you're going to see Oscar Delp in there at tight end, and then I think you're going to see Dominic Lovett step up a lot. I mean, they ran a same TK. You can look on my Twitter. I put a diagram out there of they ran a 4 verts route at the end of that Auburn game where they really needed it. It's the one where Brock was covered and Carson kind of threw it anyways, back shoulder, and got him there in the Auburn game. They ran the same exact play, the same exact route right there with Lovett in the slot instead of where Brock Bowers was against Vanderbilt right before half after Bowers got hurt. Same thing, covered back shoulder to Lovett, completion there for Carson. So I think it does show that, hey, Georgia has a system that Bobo has developed that you can put guys in to do things that maybe Marcus Rosemy-Jackson, he's a big body receiver, can do some stuff as well.
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's kind of an offense. Once you get it down, you can plug and play. If you're in 11, you can do some dope things. If you're in 4 wides, you can do things with that Y as a receiver, like as you mentioned, that happened with Dom. So and that gives you a different element. Like it gives you a matchup on a linebacker, maybe with a with a receiver. Or you're getting the team's 4th corner on Dom Lovett in the slot or something like that. So there's definitely things that Coach Bobo can and will do. And you know, I'm sure he's already put pen to paper for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And Charles Conway makes a great point. He's a big Missouri fan, but he says Georgia's getting disrespected as if Brock is all they have. They're loaded, but it's right time to catch him. He says timing's everything. We'll see. We'll see when it's the right time to catch him. But I do think Missouri, Ole Miss, Tennessee now, even Florida, like you said, these are games that I'm not saying that you can't be productive and go out and win games just because you don't have Brock Bowers. But obviously when you don't have one of the best players in college football, other people have to step up around them, and those games are going to be competitive anyways. I think even with Brock Bowers, I think it's just a more competitive league this year all across the SEC. Now, guys, before we get into some hot seat talk here, I do want to talk a little bit about some of these games. Now, these lines have moved a little bit since I first created these graphics here, but I'll go ahead and put them up. Let's go ahead and talk about your thoughts already. Right here with Tennessee going to Tuscaloosa. It started out at 9.5 when this thing over under is only 48. So they think it's going to be a defensive battle here, but you got the rematch from last year. Tennessee, of course, ended a drought of 20 years, I believe, of not beating Alabama. And this is the 3:30 CBS game. What are your guys' thoughts before we do picks and predictions? Just what are your general thoughts on this game, Tennessee and Alabama?
I mean, obviously, you got to think that they're going to try to get after Milroe there, but he's tough to contain, obviously. So I think that'll be a task for that Tennessee defense. Yeah, I think it's a pretty evenly matched game. Honestly, I think it's pretty evenly matched, but I think Alabama goes in there and kind of handles business.
Knowshon, how do you feel about this? What do you think some of the keys to this game are?
It's definitely going to be defense and who can really run that rock. We know Tennessee got 2 backs that can get it done, that can help Joe Milton out. And you're going to need that in this kind of games. I think it's going to be a slugfest. I think it'll be a defensive game. But at the same time, Alabama has a bad taste in their mouth from last year. You know what I'm saying? So you're not going to come in our house and get a dub. And that's hard to do in Tuscaloosa anyway. So I think it's going to be a close one, but at the same time, Alabama's going to get the vic.
Yeah. I don't know, bro. I don't see it. I don't see them boys. Tennessee just look a little suspect right now.
The clear advantage that Tennessee does have in this game is their edge rushers and their defensive line versus Alabama's offensive line and pass coverage. Alabama is one of the worst in the country, giving up 31 sacks this year. They're dead last in the SEC, I think 123rd in the country. Their left tackle, Caden Proctor, keeps getting beat like he stole something. I mean, it's just crazy over there. So he's a freshman, and we know when you start a freshman at left tackle, there's going to be growing pains. I mean, that's just how it goes. James Pierce, the defensive end, outside linebacker on that side for Tennessee a lot of the time, is just wreaking havoc. I mean, he leads the SEC in pressures, I believe, not sacks, but quarterback pressures, like getting through there according to PFF and all those things. So,
yeah, he has 6 sacks though.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting after it. You got Aaron Beasley. They're averaging, Tennessee's averaging 4 sacks a game as a team. Alabama has given up at least 4 sacks in every game this year except one, I believe. So it has been rough over there for Alabama.
That boy better get the scooting.
Well, is that where Knowshon, as a, if you were on a team and let's say your left tackle was struggling, or you guys had a backup left tackle in for that game, whether it's in the pros or the NFL, is that where a coach would tell you, hey, Knowshon, this week we got to have you chip in here, or we got to bring a tight end over and chip or something like that to help pass protect a little bit?
I mean, you should. Are they going to do that? I don't know. They haven't really been doing it this far, but you should have some help from your running back to chip and kind of keep a guy contained, or just double them straight up sometimes. So I feel like they'll have something schemed up for these guys, and they will get to Alabama. They will get to them a little bit in the pass game. Yeah, they're gonna get home, but at the same time, it just probably won't be enough. It won't be enough.
Yeah, no, I
those
agree.
Chips.
I think maybe Tennessee covers. I think 9.5 might be a lot of points, but I will say Alabama wins the game. Now, of course, we got a lot of Missouri fans on here with us. Let's talk about it. I was a little shocked that the Missouri spread was only 6.5, and I think it's gone down since then a little bit. I'll have to double check it, but I guess that's some respect for Spencer Rattler and maybe some question about Missouri's defense a little bit, but we know Missouri's going to put up points. I mean, you see that over under, guys. It's almost at 60, so they believe both teams are going to put up some points in this game.
Yeah, I don't know about that after watching South Carolina last week. And shout out to my guy, Billy Napier. We said he was going to get it done. He had to, right? We said
he did. It was pressure was on. He got it done.
We said he was going to get it done. So shout out to Coach Nate down there. But yeah, man, it's kind of one of those things, like I said last week with South Carolina, you don't know what you're going to get. And we saw that again kind of last week and how they played. And with the way Missouri is playing, bro, with the way that Brady Cook is being a general on the field, and obviously what Luther Burden does when he gets the ball in his hand, I think that South Carolina defense has a tough time with them, especially if they were struggling with Graham Mertz.
423 passing yards for Graham Mertz against South Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's out there throwing. I was surprised about that too. He out there throwing that thing. And maybe it's because they're down most of the time, but he's out there throwing that thing. But Missouri's putting up 30 points a game pretty much. I think they haven't scored 30 in just one game this whole season. So they're going to put up their points. And can South Carolina keep up with them? That's going to be the big question. Without Spencer making a mistake. Sorry.
Spencer Rattler's played pretty good though. I mean, we got to give him his credit. He's on the year completing 73.6% of his passes, 11 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions, and that's big when they don't have a running game at all. I mean, they haven't been able to run the ball. Now they did find a little bit of a running game against Florida. My one question about Missouri, I know Missouri's going to make plays on the back end. They've got Enos Rakestraw. They got Chris Abrams-Drain. I like that secondary. I like the way they fly around at linebacker. The one concern I would have on Missouri's team is that against LSU, they gave up 6.4 yards per carry. Against Kentucky, even though Kentucky turned the ball over 3 times, which was really the big difference in the game, Kentucky had 5.1 yards per carry. So I'm a little concerned that teams are going to be able to run the ball a little bit on Missouri and try to, shorten the game a little bit and keep that high-powered offense off the field.
Well, yeah, that can work for a little bit of time, but once they get up, I mean, you're going to have to pass the rock, right? So, I mean, yeah, that can work for, early in the game, but once it gets into a passing game, you're going to have to get away from that. So, I mean, which one do you want to pick? They're picking and choosing. They're like, listen, we want to be great in stopping the pass or the run right now, especially with a lot of the weapons like like an LSU team has, and even Kentucky is like, all right, let's stop the pass, and the run is going to happen, but let's it's more of a bend but don't break kind of situation.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I definitely see Missouri taking care of business, especially before a bye week. I just think when you're now wanting to go where Missouri's wanting to go, right? You're wanting to be considered in the upper echelon of the SEC. You have to start getting measured in the same ways of those teams in the SEC. So are you not just winning? Are you dominating games, and are you controlling games? So that's the kind of standard that Georgia and Alabama.
No, it's only one team that's getting looked at like that right now. Like it's only one, us.
Yeah,
the
Georgia.
Dogs. Excuse me, people.
Well, I mean, back-to-back champs. That's how they're gonna look at you. They're
right.
Gonna do
and
that.
I ain't really. It's expected. I ain't mad at it. But like, if y'all want to be, if you want to be elite as well, you got to hold yourself to that same standard.
Was Kirby say pressure's a privilege? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Pressure's a privilege, and they've put themselves. They're a victim of their own success at this point, much like Alabama is. So, Alabama with what they've done, people don't realize this. If Alabama were to put it all together and win the national championship this year, if they went and won the national championship, I believe that's what, like 4 out of the last 9 for Alabama. That's still really, really good. I mean,
that's
still really,
that's wild.
That's really, really good. Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, that's why we watch these games. That's why we love SEC football. We love the passion of the Missouri fans in here, the passion of the Georgia fans. I wish that I could be in Bryant-Denny Stadium on Saturday to be at that Tennessee-Alabama game, because those Alabama fans are just dying to light up them cigars if they beat Tennessee after losing that game last year. Knowshon.
Oh, of course. They got the bad taste in their mouth as well, especially all that talking. You got to go through a whole year with Tennessee talking and what we did and all that bull, right? So, hey, they're going to be rocking. Is it a night? What time is it at? Don't be a night game.
It's a 3:30 game. 3:30 game. So
fourth quarter going to be nighttime. Ooh. It's going to be rocking.
Fourth quarter be nighttime. Now, TK, something we don't really enjoy having to talk about a whole lot, but it's a reality, is some of these coaches, I mean, when you are getting this kind of money paid to you as a football coach and you are leading a multi-million-dollar organization, there is pressure to win, especially in this league. Yeah. Jimbo Fisher has not been winning. Sam Pittman has not been winning. Those are the two that are kind of on the hot seat the most now that Billy Napier kind of bought himself, I think, a little bit of time with that road win at South Carolina. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on those two situations? And I mean, do you feel either or both is let go after this year, depending on how they finish, of course?
Yeah, I'll start with my guy Pit Boss, man. I hate it up there for him. Because I think one, he's a hell of a coach. I think that he's a hell of a recruiter from an offensive line standpoint. But yeah, I mean, things have got to flow. Your defense has got to play well. Your offense has got to play well. And you got to have weapons around a KJ Jefferson to get things done. So, and it's not happening for him up there right now. But from a hot seat perspective, in my opinion, I think Jimbo, Coach Fisher, I think he's probably more so on the hot seat. He been on my hot seat for like 3 years. If you watch our show,
DK's been saying fire that man, even when they owed him $100 million. He's like I don't care, fire him.
But yeah, because it's been the same thing, and obviously, like if you watch our show, you've heard me say this before too. But like, they can't win. They're not winning. They're not getting it done, and they've got talent, not just any kind of talent. Top tier recruit, number 1 recruiting class in the nation type talent for 2 or 3 years. So when you start to like look at things like that and wonder why it's not getting done. Now, if Sam Pittman had the number 1 recruiting class for 2 or 3 years, then I would say, his seat should be a little hotter. But Coach Fisher hasn't gotten it done over there, so I would definitely have to give it to I could see Coach Fisher getting fired at the end of the year. But not Pit Boss. Yeah, I don't know.
Knowshon, Nick Saban kind of gave Pittman an endorsement after their game because, hey, Arkansas almost took Alabama down this weekend. I mean, they were on the verge there at the end of winning that football game. And Nick Saban said, hey, in the press conference, he said, this is a good Arkansas team. He said, I know y'all don't look at it that way. He said, but they lost to LSU, Ole Miss, and Alabama all on the road by less than a touchdown.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I mean, they've been playing close games. Even the BYU game was close. You know what I mean? So, and what is that? Is that management at the end of the games? Is that players? Who knows? But at the same time, they have been close. They just haven't been getting over that hump. And I mean, it's tough when you look at a team like that and they haven't won a conference game yet. They're 0-4 in the conference, so that's tough, right? You don't want that to happen. Even if you are having a losing season, you want to win these conference games because that's what matters the most. But they're at least close, and I feel like the same thing for Texas A&M. They lost a couple close games as well, but at least their record is better, 2-2 in the conf, and it's better than last year. You know, so I guess I would have to say Texas A&M. I'm close to saying Arkansas, but I feel like you can't get rid of either one of those guys. You got to think about the conference that they're in. Think about how Alabama, LSU, and Ole Miss are playing at this moment. So it's just tough to do it in this league, right? So as long as it doesn't continue to happen and it doesn't last up to like 4 or 5 years of a slump, then I think they're safe.
Alex says, if he keeps job, we should drink liquor in his honor. So there you go. But listen,
I thought he liked the cold beers.
He does like the cold beer. I think that's what he likes a lot. But when we're talking about Sam Pittman and Jimbo Fisher, so after this year, Jimbo Fisher, his buyout $76 million. It's still $76 million. That's a lot of money. The buyout for Sam Pittman, it's written into his contract. If he finishes under 500 this year, his buyout drops down to $10 million. So they got that Walmart money out there at Arkansas. The Walmart, that started the Walmart family, Walmart stores out there. They're the Waltons. They got that money out there. So $10 million is nothing. They can stroke that check in a little while, but I don't know realistically who you're saying, okay, let's go and who's gonna be a fit to come in after him. So
no, I'm with you on that one, but who's out there right now to get that's worthy enough to come in? That's like a start all over.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's all about life is about understand. There's two things I've learned about life. Life is about understanding your own limitations. Understanding your own limitations and then managing expectations. If you do those two things, you're gonna be just fine. I don't know that Arkansas. What are the expectations? You know what I'm saying? I mean, what do you think?
Well, they weren't very high for me this year.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another thing too. Like, you got to be realistic.
Look what Eddie said, TK. He says Dion in Arkansas.
Nah, that ain't. I don't see that.
Dion ain't going nowhere, bro.
Not Arkansas.
Dion ain't going anywhere. For what?
Arkansas. Not Arkansas. But I'll tell y'all this: $76 million. I guess Jimbo is just gonna be there another year.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot, bro. That's a lot to just fork over to somebody. So I guess
JRU and money in College Station. That's what
yeah, there you go. Yeah, I guess I got another year with Jimbo.
Oh yeah.
And then it'll drop down. Then it'll probably drop down to 50. So another 25. So,
it's gonna be interesting to see what happens there. Lastly, guys, last thing before we go, you know that I've been telling y'all for a while. Shane Beamer's a little emotional. Okay, he got a little emotion to him, and sometimes too emotional. This man comes up to the press conference and tells everybody that after the Florida game, he kicked something he shouldn't have kicked, and he broke his foot. After the game, what are we doing? I mean, what are we doing? I mean, he gets on, he gets on reporters after games, always pointing blame. And the big problem I had with Shane Beamer is he came in after the game and they said, hey, what was the problem defensively? And you tell me, if you guys were South Carolina players, you tell me how you would react to this. Shane Beamer says, well, I'll tell you what the problem was. We called these pressures during the game. This time the players didn't run them. We called a corner blitz. The corner didn't end up coming. We had perfect play call for reverse double edge pressure. They didn't make the play, all this kind of stuff, and went on a 1.5-minute tirade saying his players didn't do this, this, and this. And then at the end said, but I guess we got to coach them better, kind of throwing it in there. So I guess he could refer to it later. How would you guys feel if a coach came out and did that after a game?
I mean, it's kind of true though. Like, you know, like it is what it is. Like, as a player, you got to take some accountability too. Like, shit, if they send you on a corner blitz and you just stop, shit, like, what you stop for?
But so, I don't think you air that dirty laundry in the press.
Or do you? You know, or do you to get that young man's attention?
Maybe.
Like, look, bro. Like, I've told you, I've shown you, we putting you in positions to make plays. Like, you're not making plays. Like, yeah, the finger's pointed at us as a program, but like, you got to take some accountability too. And this is a way is to make him accountable. Like, shit. Like, now everybody's looking at that play. Like, damn, who was that? Who was that was supposed to? All right, now what you gonna do next game? Now how you gonna react? How you gonna respond? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, maybe he ran it for a while on it, but like, and maybe went a little too far in. But yeah, I don't have a problem with him like holding his players accountable, for you know, their mistakes, especially when they're that big or that they're that constant. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it really.
Knowshon?
I mean, you always want to point the finger back in at yourself and not out, right? I don't have a necessarily too big of a problem that he just, you know, mentioned a couple plays that were broken and that the defense didn't go out there and execute fully. But at the end of the day, I wish that he would have went in more on himself at the end of the day. Like, hey, you know what? And say something like, bro, but you know what? It's on us. It's on me as a coach. It's on us to make sure that these guys are in the right spot and doing the right things. And not only that, we are going to fix that. We are going to correct that. And it starts with me. You know what I'm saying? Bring it back to yourself a little bit more than he did in that interview. Just bring it back to yourself a little bit more, because at the end of the day, it is coaching.
I posted a tweet about this situation, and old Andy picked up on it here. He said, Blaine, hit your Julius Campbell line. And you know what Julius Campbell said? Remember the Titans when he's talking to Gary Bertier about people not playing. He said, you're the captain, right? You're supposed to be leading, right? You're supposed to be doing your job. Gary Bertier said, I'm doing my job. He said, then tell your buddies to block for Rev, because you know they ain't been blocking for him worth a blood nickel, and you know it. And he said, attitude reflects leadership.
That ain't your favorite movie,
bro. That movie, right?
I could go through the whole thing.
That boy quoted a whole
bro. It made me want to go back and watch it.
Yeah,
listen,
I might have to.
Attitude reflects leadership, Captain. Here's my thing. There's two positions. There's two positions on a football team that you have to just lay down and take all the blame every time. That is the head coach and the quarterback.
Okay. Yes.
Those are the two. I don't care if anybody else made a mistake. You have to say, hey, we made we made a mistake. I've got to get these guys better in a better position to do things. The quarterback has to say, hey, it's on me to get us in the right play. I should have did this and that. That's what has to be done there. The other thing is, as a coach, I was told this. I was a high school coach for 10 years. Now, I don't have the playing experience that you guys do, but I know what it means to coach young men of not far from the age that he's coaching. And I was told this by a very, very elder, more senior coach than I am, who's won hundreds and hundreds of games. He said, Blaine, in this profession, he said, when your players do something, you're either coaching it or you're allowing it. So which one is it? Which one is it, Shane? Are you coaching those mistakes or are you allowing those mistakes? Because it's not the first time they've happened. So that's where I have a problem with it.
Yeah.
I'm right with you.
Yeah. No, I agree with what both of y'all said, bro.
Run it up, Herman. Leave no doubt. What JT said here. It is a great movie, man. I mean, it's just a great movie.
Classic.
I was like 10 years old when that thing came out. It just hit me right here. Here. I love it. Every part about it. And guys, we love that you tuned in here with us tonight. We are so appreciative of that. Do us a favor. It helps us if you hit that like button. So hit that like button before you go. Subscribe. That's totally free. Get you a 15% discount on Chomps, a great little snack if you want to.
What
look
kind of
in
snack?
Meat sticks, man.
There
Get
it
you some
is.
meat sticks over there.
There it is.
Get beef, venison, turkey. My favorite is they got a beef jalapeno one. That's really good.
Nice,
But you get 15% off down there. Kids love them.
Since Chomps, I'm gonna send y'all my address.
We're gonna get Caroline and Chris. When y'all watching this, we gotta get TK and Knowshon some samples. I'll get on the phone with Caroline here. Speaking of Caroline, guys, if you want to partner with the channel, you like SEC football, and you think that your business will appeal to SEC fan bases, then hit up caroline.smith@southeastern14.com, and she can talk to you about how you can partner here with Southeastern 14. But thank you so much right here. I think we're talking about different meat sticks. What Hefe says. Listen, hey, you got to have fun with it. You got to have fun with it. It's gonna be a good time here. But listen, we appreciate everybody tuning in. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications for the newly minted SEC legend Knowshon Moreno and always a legend Tavarres King right here. We are player section, guys, and we will catch you next time on Southeastern 14. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great rest of your evening.